Okay, so I just finished recording my 99 strength guide, and I must admit it is long as shit, so if you guys are looking for a clear, concise guide with dubstep and graphics, I can't really offer you that. A lot of the information that I've presented is very raw form, and I do walk from place to place to show people where to go and stuff like that, so it is a very, as I said, raw guide on how to get 99 strength, and a lot of the things you may know, so I'm just going to shove that out there, just a bit of a disclaimer. If you were looking for an easy, quick answer on how I got 99 strength. But hopefully, if you guys have any questions, let me know via the comments, and I'll do my best to clean up some of the misinformation in the form of some annotations. So please do turn annotations on for this video, as I'm not too sure if what I did explain in the video at some points may be clear enough. So again, don't feel bad if you misunderstood anything I say, or if I leave something out. Feel free to ask, and I'll be happy to correct it within the video. But anyway, you guys, I hope you enjoy it and get a little bit of use out of it. If not, I kind of, didn't serve my purpose too well, but hopefully it helps somebody out at least. So enjoy the guide, guys, and anyway, I'll see you guys later. Alright, so what's up, guys? Today, I'm going to be showing you my guide to 99 strength. Now, I get this question very often, I'll say. I'm not gonna emphasize how much I get this question, but to say the least, I get it multiple times a day, and I feel like if I'm gonna get it that many times a day, I'm gonna try and answer it in video form. Now, this is my personal guide to 99 strength. There are so many ways that you can train strength, but these are the ways that I did it, and if I do it again, this is the methods I'll use. Now, just to clarify, 99 strength is not easy. It takes a long time. And even though I'm going to be giving you tips on how to do it, you still need to understand that it's going to take you a long time. Now, depending on how dedicated you are, you could probably get 99 strength in 2 weeks. Now, that's not an option unless you're, not sleeping, but it is possible. But for a normal human being, you're probably going to be looking at 3 or 4 weeks, maybe 5 or 6, depending on how real of a human being you are. So that is kind of the ballpark. 2 to 6 weeks is probably the estimate time that you could allocate to this. But for anyone interested in my mithril bolt loot, I've just spent 2,000 mithril bolts, and this is my loot thus far. But this is a 99 strength guide, and I will be covering my mithril bolt loot a little later on in a different video. But a noob actually died, and I got some adamant heraldic stuff, so that was cool. But anyway, I will first of all just give you guys a brief introduction of what kind of gear you will need. Now, I'm going to be doing this as a 1 defense pure, but obviously if you have multiple defense levels, if you're like 60 defense, you can still use these methods. It's not restrictive, but at the same time you have multiple options, and yeah, if you're higher defense, you can't just assume that these aren't going to be for you. But I'm going to grab some teleports, and then I'll meet you guys in the next area. Okay, so you may be thinking, at this point, why is he not showing us cows and chickens? Well, the reason behind that is that I don't really think those kind of places are actually very good. I mean, if you're not going to be, going anywhere else, I guess they're alright. They get you a bit of startup capital, a bit of money in the bank. But apart from that, I don't think that the time you spend at the cows and chickens are actually that worth it. Instead, I'd recommend doing some quests. Now, the one in question that you'd like to get done as quick as you can is the Waterfall Quest. But as you know, there's moss giants that hit over 11, I think, something around that ballpark. And as a level 3, you're not going to be able to tank that damage. So instead, I'd recommend getting around 13 mage and probably 200 fire strikes and coming to this quest here, the Witch's House. Now, what this will do, this won't give you any strength or attack XP, but it will give you 6,000 HP. Now, what that's going to give you is probably, I don't know, around 20 HP or something around that ballpark. I could, what I'll do, I'll chuck it on screen what it will actually get you. But what this will do, it'll buy you some hit points levels, and you can instantly do the Waterfall Quest in confidence that you're not going to get one hit by a moss giant when you go to do the Waterfall Quest. Now, all these quests, I'm not going to do guides on them. Instead, they've already got those guides out in place, so I'd recommend looking on YouTube and or a Google search, and you'll be easily able to find a quest guide for both of these quests. Now, I must admit they're both fairly easy, and they just take a little bit of patience if you haven't done them before, especially as Witch's House if you haven't killed the boss before, and you can obviously safe spot it, but again, this isn't a quest guide. So we're going to go teleport and assume that you've done both of these quests. Now at this point you will be around 25 hit points, 30 attack, and 30 strength. And once you've hit this point, it is time. Actually, since that Addy guy died, I've actually got the appropriate weaponry that you will need. So let me just go to the bank, guys, and I'll go through some gear setups once you've just got that quest completed. Now what you want to do is look in my inventory right now, and you'll notice that I've got a bunch of quest items that you won't have yet, but I've also got some gear that you could probably buy for yourself. Now I'm going to walk through this and explain each item choice. Obviously when you're training strength, you want the best offensive bonuses, and this left hand setup before the runes and stuff, probably the best you can get without any form of quests done. Obviously a Fury Army is going to be better. The strength bonus is low, correct, but the attack slash bonuses are higher, which means you'll be more accurate with your hits, and you should do more damage over time, hence more XP over time. So you should be looking like this at the start, although a strength cape you probably won't have at the start. So this is your gear setup. Now what you want to do from this point is decide whether or not you can be bothered doing quests. And slowly over the course of your training, you want to do these quests and get these items. Obby Cape isn't a quest item, you can equip that at level 1, and it depends on your budget, to be honest. Now I'm going to assume that you're pretty poor, you're pretty piss poor, your account's pretty much started, and we got to head up to the rock crabs. You guys know how to get there, but I'm going to show those who don't know the different variations of rock crabs. But whilst we do that, we're going to walk and talk and explain a few things. Now at this point you're probably going to be like doing very little damage, but once you hit level 40 attack, you'll be using a rune scimitar. No quest required for that, and at that point I suggest you start using these potions here, regular strength and regular attack potions. Now these are very cheap, not very expensive, and if you can't afford them, I suggest you do some money making to get them, and just once you use that, like once you've done your money making and just bought a bunch of bulk, to come to the rock crabs. Now you can either go to through these gates here, and this will lead you to the most common area. You can go to the right here and then to the north, and then it'll go to the right hand side over the fence of the rock crabs. But for just to save time, we're gonna go straight through the center here, and I'll show you guys which direction will get you to what crabs. But there is also a third alternative, and this is the one I'd probably recommend for you guys at the lower level, considering it isn't multi-combat and you can't have your rocks PJ'd by other players. Now, if you've been to rock crabs before, cannons are fucking annoying. We all know this, and there's also douchebags with higher strength levels that will ruin your time. And the rock crabs generally aren't this not crowded, they're generally very packed, but this is a very low popular world. Now, a small tip for those who are looking to max out XP rates, that's bot material right there. If you go to a higher populated world, monsters will spawn faster, and obviously the opposite applies. The monsters will spawn a lot slower if you're in a world with 200 players or around that ballpark. Now, the third option here, there is a third option to go to Waterbirth Island, but you're probably thinking, I need to do the Fremenic quest to get there. True, you need to start the quest, but you don't have to finish it. Now, if you could just prove it, Fremenic, I don't even know what the quest is called, but you need to start the quest that will allow you to go to Waterbirth Island. Now, you just need to talk to Jovold a few times, one of these guys, one of these weirdos around the place, and eventually you will get the travel option to travel to Waterbirth Island. Now, at this point, a lot of you guys probably know about these things, but please understand, some people have never trained strength here before, and as you'll notice if you look in the bottom right hand corner, there is no multi-way combat. So hitting 15s with an adamant scimitar isn't exactly what you're going to be doing at the very start. You're probably going to be looking around 5 or 6s, maybe 7s if you're lucky. But now we've got the newbie shit out of the way, I think it's about time that we've progressed. Okay, so at this point in the guide, I'm going to assume that you're around 50 strength and around 60 attack. At least 60-60 is optimal at this point, but in the last areas in the rock crabs, I didn't really explain too much, but there isn't much to explain. What you need to do is just grind there over and over. Once you get your rune scimitar, keep going, and depending on what attack level you want and how quest dependent you are and how many, I don't know, how bearable they are to you. At 50 attack, you can also switch it up to the ancient staff from the Desert Treasure quest. If not, just use the rune scimitar until 60 attack, and then it's time to move on to quests. Now, at this point, you need to decide whether or not you want to go to do Monkey Madness or not. And the reason why I say you need to consider it is that if you're going to be doing chinchompas at 1 defense, you cannot return once you finish that quest. So if you want to get range out of the way and do ranging at the monkey tunnels, I suggest that you hold off on the dragon scimitar until you get 99 range. But like me, I couldn't be bothered waiting that long, so I went and did the quest, and we have our dragon skimmy. So this point is the point where you need to just grit your teeth and grind out a few quests. Now, all these items to my right hand of my inventory are quest related items, unfortunately, and I'm going to go through them one by one. The Unholy Book is something that's going to cost you around 2 to 3 mil, and it's going to require the quest Horror from the Deep. Now, again, this isn't going to be a quest guide, but I'd recommend around 50, 60 mage or something like that. Very, very possible to do it around 40. It just depends on how confident you are. You've probably done these quests before, but if you can do that quest, very much, very, very handy, because the Zami book, at least, will give you high offensive accuracy, not strength bonus. Moving on to the next point, Mithril Gloves is something you want to be going for throughout the whole time. They offer the same bonuses, or very similar bonuses, to the Combat Bracelet in the 6th strength, but it does actually give higher defense bonuses. I'll actually explain the difference between the Combat and the Myth Gloves. If you look at we might just take everything off that affects our stuff. If we look at our defense and offensive bonuses, you'll notice that the Combat Bracelet is actually better in the attack bonus department than Myth Gloves are, but in the defense, Myth Gloves take supreme. So for training, stick to the Combat Bracelet because it's actually better for offensive, and that's, as a pure, what you want to focus more towards. Now, if we move down the list, obviously you want to get a spec weapon. Once you've hit 60 attack, you have no reason not to, and you want to be utilizing the Dragon Dagger spec, hopefully, if you have it, by doing the Lost City quest. And this quest is a lot easier than Monkey Madness, I can assure you that. So you want to be getting a Dragon Dagger, and every time your special attack fills up, you want to be twin specking out and getting all of your specials out. And this will actually boost your XP rates per hour, and it's pretty easy to explain. Now, I'd recommend not getting a Poison Dagger because you want to do the most damage that you possibly can with raw hit damage as opposed to poison. I've just got a poison one here, I don't know, I just had it at the time. So if we gear back up, and we'll assume that you've done some quests as we walk by. Now at this point you want to do Priest of Perel, and all the quests are required to do it, and this will allow you to go to the Canvas area. Now a lot of these things I'm saying right now, you probably want to break it down and kind of just slow things down, but I'm going to be going through this fairly quickly, so I'm going to be saying every piece of information that is required. You just need to listen out for certain things, and if you're missing certain things, I'm generally going to explain it, and if I haven't, please let me know and I will correct myself with an annotation. So once we got to Canifus, and we've done Priest of Perel, at this point, it's going to be fairly assumed that you've got the rest of the things in my inventory, hopefully at least. Now, Dehide, I do recommend it. It does give you better offensive stat or defensive stats, which will allow you to use less food when you're training. But if you can't be bothered doing range, Iron Legs do also, help out in that defense department. And don't generally go for looks. If you've got like a monk robe setup, you're going to get slaughtered even more so than if you were using a iron setup. Now, if you've got the hunter level, I'd suggest using a spotty cape, which will reduce your weight. And if you don't have climbing boots, God forbid, use some boots of lightness. But I do recommend doing the Death Plateau quest and knocking out that quest and getting the +2 strength bonus from the climbing boots. Now, the next quest involved is very, very easy. Now, I'm gonna just for my own kind of sanity, I'm gonna assume that I'm gonna drop off the quest items that I think you should have done. And I'm going to drop off some of the gear that should be made redundant at this point. Now, if we just go to our bank and do so, it'll make things a lot easier. But I'm going to make this guide very, very raw. Make it very, very easy to understand, hopefully. And that way, a lot of people can follow along. So, if you have the hunter level required, grab out your spotty cape. I know a lot of you people won't, but I did. So I'm just going to take it. If not, the obsidian cape will reign supreme. But yeah, we're going to just drop that off. And we're going to gear up as if we were the optimal setup, I guess, heading to experiments. But the next quest involved is very, very simple and doesn't even need to be completed. The Creature of Frankenstein quest. All you need to do is start this quest, grab the amulet halves out of the bookcases, and again, follow a quest guide, and it'll make the picture so much more clearer. Now, what you want to do once you've got this amulet is take it to the following grave. Now, again, I'm showing people the raw footage of how to get here, because some people simply do not know where a lot of these places are. So I'm going to do this for the benefit of the people who do not know. And if you guys already know, you can just be here, listen to me talk, just explain things. But you want to be using it on this memorial here, the one to the very right. And at this point, experiments are going to be your little baby. Now, I haven't been here since I've got 99 strength, to be honest, but I've been getting messages telling me they've been packed. Now, I'm not seeing too much evidence of this, as most wards will have people. Now, experiments, as I said, are going to be fairly popular for you, at least until you get around 80 strength, and they are optional. I did them to 99, but a lot of people are lazy and or cannot be bothered doing the same thing over and over. But if your mind is numb and you get into a zone, you can pretty much do experiments the whole time. But in this main room, you have 3 options. You have this area here. There'll be a spawn here and a spawn here. Alternate between the two. Now, I recommend, like with these dual spawn areas, I kind of break them up into different sections. So you've got section 1, section 2, and section 3. Now, I would not recommend going to any other section between these 2 points unless you have at least 85 strength. I don't want to waste, like, a lot of people will be here and you don't want to waste people's time. As you can see, this is I'm going to call this a 2.5 spawn, because there is a spawn here, and a spawn over here. Now, you do not want, as I said, do not want to use these spots until you've got the high strength level, and you can allow yourself to utilize the XP per hour, and you don't want to waste anybody else's time. That's very distracting, but thank you to my savior. Depending on whether or not I feel like this guide is good enough, you may see yourself in this video. But again, we're just strolling through this at supreme speed, and once you've hit around 85 strength, I will say, this area right here is what you want to call home for the next 2 weeks. This area is where I trained personally experiments to 99, but at this point you need to be using super strength potions. And when you feel like you can afford them, at any point after 60 attack and 60 strength, please do use them. They help a lot, and make sure that you use them frequently and don't forget them. So this spot here is my pride and joy, this triple spawn. It is the most effective spot in the game. Now I'm going to give you guys a brief kind of show through of what you should be doing. Now this is my personal opinion and my personal way of doing it, but this is how I did it. And of course, I've got this Ring of Life for a reason. You want to be using this at all points unless you have a Berserker Ring. But if you're the kind of person that AFKs a lot, just use it. I mean, it'll save your life once. And I really should have used it at some point, because I did die because I was AFKing. Got a Mr. Hyde random at the Waterbirth Island, as I showed earlier on in the guide. And that was that. But what you want to do, obviously, use your special attacks. And if you are really, really attentive and are really happy to click all over the place, you can prayer flick. And a lot of people don't know how to do this, but I'm just going to give you 15 seconds or so to explain how to do it. Now, you want to, as your dude gets hit back by the spider, that's the point where you want to turn it on, depending on how laggy the server is for you. But yeah, prayer flicking, obviously, it's not going to last ages, but it is possible to do it for quite a while. So, as I said, as you rock back from the animation, that is the time to click it. I'm on like a 300 ping server, so that is the time I click it, but depending on your ping and how to prayer flick, if you know how to, you know how to. I don't need to explain it. But that is the triple spawned experiment, and what you do after you kill this last one, go back to the spawn and reset your progress. Now, the biggest tip I can give you guys is to not put RuneScape on one monitor and just stare at it the whole freaking day. You will drive yourself nuts. You need some sort of distraction from the game so you don't realize that you've just been sitting here grinding for 10 hours at experiments. Now, things I should suggest is to minimize, like, make the RuneScape screen to the very left of your monitor, and on the right hand side, I'm going to assume you have one monitor. Load up some YouTube videos, watch some streams, look at whatever, you know, kitty cats and stuff like that, anything that's just going to pass the time by whilst you slowly kill these experiments. Now, you can do this at any point. I mean, like, I highly suggest that if there's any point where you have monsters that take a long time to kill, do this. It'll very much help you out. But I think that's about it. I don't think there's much left to go. I do apologize if this wasn't too in-depth, but this is like a 20-minute guide. And there should be most of my, like, if there's any answers I can give, hopefully I've been able to put them out in this video. And even if you do know how to train strength, even if you have, you know, seen different methods and you already know, at least this gives you some different options if you don't, like, you know, if you get bored of certain options. But I do recommend taking breaks from strength. And even if you are training at experiments and decide to go to Bandits, I have done a Bandits guide, but I'm not going to be going too much into Bandits. This is kind of my welfare guide to 99 strength. But we all know Bandits exists, and they're a good alternative if you're rich, but a lot of us aren't. And you guys kind of, hopefully you guys appreciate that I kind of focus towards the lower, you know, the lower average person who doesn't have $700 billion in their bank. But that is my kind of guide to 99 strength. Obviously switch it up as you go along. If you get sick of experiments, like, fucking time wasted, I'm sick of experiments, what can I do? Switch it up, go to Pest Control. That's around 20 to 30k XP per hour, which is fairly bad. But if you're going to be spending 10 hours experiments, 2 hours at Pest Control is a lot better than 2 hours at, you know, just at Castle Walls or something like that. Switch things up and make sure to keep your interest peaked into this, and just grind it out, guys. That can be my number one tip, is just get in the zone and grind that shit out, because eventually you'll have a shiny little green cape on your back and you'll be hitting big hits in the worldy and all that stuff. But I don't think there's any much more I can add to that. Just rinse, repeat, and just switch it up. Watch videos whilst you do it, and make sure you keep potted, keep using your special attacks, and if you're very attentive, obviously use prayer flick every now and again. But apart from that, guys, that is my maximum length of time that I think I can go into depth on this. That is hopefully going to help you guys get 99 strength. But if it does, please let me know. I'd be happy to know if this helped at least one person. But anyway, I'm going to stop talking shit. This video is long enough. Anyway, good luck on 99 strength, my friend. And thank you for watching.